Chapter 3, Human Reproduction. As you are aware, humans are sexually reproducing and viviparous. The reproductive events in humans include formation of gametes, gametogenesis, that is, sperms in males and ovum in females, transfer of sperms into the female genital tract, insemination, and fusion of male and female gametes, fertilization, leading to formation of zygote. This is followed by formation and development of blastocyst and its attachment to the uterine wall, implantation, embryonic development, gestation, and delivery of the baby, parturition. You have learned that these reproductive events occur after puberty. There are remarkable differences between the reproductive events in the male and in the female. For example, sperm formation continues even in old men, but formation of ovum ceases in women around the age of 50 years. Let us examine the male and female reproductive systems in human. 3.1 The male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvis region, figure 3.1a. It includes a pair of testes along with accessory ducts, glands, and the external genitalia. The testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity within a pouch called scrotum. The scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testes 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal internal body temperature, necessary for spermatogenesis. In adults, each testis is oval in shape with a length of about 4 to 5 cm and a width of about 2 to 3 cm. The testis is covered by a dense covering. Each testis has about 250 compartments called testicular lobules. Figure 3.1b. Each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubule in which sperms are produced. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells called male germ cells, spermatogonia, and Sertoli cells. Figure 3.2. The male germ cells undergo meiotic division, finally leading to sperm formation, while Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cells. The region outside the seminiferous tubules, called interstitial spaces, contains small blood vessels and interstitial cells or Leydig cells. Figure 3.2. Leydig cells synthesize and secrete testicular hormones called androgens. Other immunologically competent cells are also present. The male sex accessory ducts include rete testes, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. Figure 3.1b. The seminiferous tubules of the testes open into the vasa efferentia through rete testes. The vasa efferentia leaves the testes and open into epididymis located along the posterior surface of each testis. The epididymis leads to vas deferens that ascend to the abdomen and loops over the urinary bladder. It receives a duct from seminal vesicle and opens into urethra as the ejaculatory duct. Figure 3.1a. These ducts store and transport the sperms from the testes to the outside through urethra. The urethra originates from the urinary bladder and extends through the penis to its external opening called urethral meatus. The penis is the male external genitalia, figure 3.1 AB. It is made up of special tissue that helps in erection of the penis to facilitate insemination. The enlarged end of penis, called the glans penis, is covered by a loose fold of skin called foreskin. The male accessory glands, figure 3.1 AB, include paired seminal vesicle, a prostate, and paired bulbourethral glands. Secretions of these glands constitute the seminal plasma, which is rich in fructose, calcium, and certain enzymes. The secretion of bulbourethral glands also help in the lubrication of the penis. 3.2 The female reproductive system. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries along with a pair of oviduct, uterus, cervix, vagina, and the external genitalia located in the pelvic region. Figure 3.3a. These parts of the system, along with a pair of mammary glands, are integrated structurally and functionally to support the processes of ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, birth, and childcare. Ovaries are the primary female sex organs that produce the female gametes, ovum, and several steroid hormones, ovarian hormones. The ovaries are located one on each side of the lower abdomen, figure 3.3b. Each testis is about 2 to 4 centimeter in length and is connected to the pelvic wall and the uterus by ligaments. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. The stroma is divided into two zones, a peripheral cortex and an inner medulla. The oviducts, fallopian tubes, uterus, and vagina constitute the female accessory ducts. The, each fallopian tube is about 10 to 12 centimeter long and extends from the periphery of each ovary to the uterus. Figure 3.3b. The part closer to the ovary is the funnel-shaped infundibulum. The edges of the infundibulum possesses finger-like projections called fimbriae, which help in collection of the ovum after ovulation. The infundibulum leads to a wider part of the oviduct called ampulla. The last part of the oviduct, isthmus, has a narrow lumen and it joins the uterus. The uterus is single and it is also called womb. The shape of the uterus is like an inverted pear. It is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic wall. The uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix is called the cervical canal. Figure 3.3b, which along with vagina forms the birth canal. The walls of the uterus has three layers of tissues: the external thin membranous perimetrium, middle thick layer of smooth muscle myometrium, and inner glandular layer called endometrium that lines the uterine cavity. The endometrium undergoes cyclical changes during the menstrual cycle while the myometrium exhibits strong contraction during the delivery of the baby. The female external genitalia include mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen, and clitoris. Figure 3.3a. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissues covered by the skin and pubic hair. The labia majora are fleshy folds of tissue which extend down from the mons pubis and surround the vaginal opening. The labia minora are paired fold of tissues under the labia majora. The opening of the vagina is often covered partially by a membrane called hymen. The clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of the two labia minora above the urethral opening. The hymen is often torn during the first coitus intercourse. However, it can also be broken by a sudden fall or jolt, insertion of a vaginal tampon, active participation in some sports like horseback riding, cycling, etc. In some women, the hymen persists even after coitus. In fact, the presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. A functional mammary gland is characteristic of all female mammals. The mammary glands are paired structure breasts that contain glandular tissue and variable amount of fat. The glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes containing cluster of cells called alveoli. Figure 3.4. The cells of alveoli secrete milk which is stored in the cavities lumen of alveoli. The alveoli open into mammary tubules. The tubules of each lobe join to form a mammary duct. Several mammary ducts join to form a wider mammary ampulla which is connected to lactiferous duct through which milk is sucked out. 3.3. Gametogenesis. The primary sex organ, the testes in the male and the ovaries in the female produce gametes, that is sperms and ovum respectively, by the process called gametogenesis. In testes, the immature male germ cells spermatogonia produce sperms by spermatogenesis that begins at puberty. The spermatogonia, single spermatogonium present on the inside wall of seminiferous tubules, multiply by mitotic division and increase in number. Each spermatogonium is diploid and contain 46 chromosomes. Some of the spermatogonia, called primary spermatocyte, periodically undergo meiosis. A primary spermatocyte complete the first meiotic division, reduction division, leading to formation of two equal haploid cells called secondary spermatocytes, which have only 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocyte undergo the second meiotic division to produce four equal haploid spermatids. Figure 3.5. What would be the number of chromosomes in spermatids? The spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa, sperms, by the process called spermiogenesis. After spermiogenesis, sperms head become embedded in the Sertoli cells and are finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process called spermiation. Spermatogenesis starts at the age of puberty due to significant increase in secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone GnRH. This, if you recall, is a hypothalamic hormone. The increased level of GnRH then acts at the anterior pituitary gland and stimulates secretion of two gonadotropins, luteinizing hormone LH and follicle stimulating hormone FSH. LH act at the Leydig cells and stimulate synthesis and secretion of androgens. Androgens in turn stimulate the processes of spermatogenesis. FSH act on the Sertoli cells and stimulate secretion of some factors which help in the process of spermiogenesis. Let us examine the structure of a sperm. It is a microscopic structure composed of a head, neck, a middle piece, and a tail. Figure 3.6. A plasma membrane envelops the whole body of sperm. The sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus, the anterior portion of which is covered by a cap-like structure, acrosome. The acrosome is filled with enzymes that help fertilization of the ovum. The middle piece possesses numerous mitochondria which produce energy for the movement of tail that facilitates sperm motility, essential for fertilization. The human male ejaculates about 200 to 300 million sperms during a coitus, of which for normal fertility at least 60% sperms must have normal shape and size and at least 40% of them must show vigorous motility. Sperms released from the seminiferous tubules are transported by the accessory ducts. Secretion of epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicle, and prostate are essential for maturation and motility of sperms. The seminal plasma along with the sperm constitute the semen. The functions of the male sex accessory ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormones androgens. The processes of formation of a mature female gamete is called oogenesis, which is markedly different from spermatogenesis. Oogenesis is initiated during the embryonic development stage when a couple of million gamete mother cells, oogonia, are formed within each fetal ovary. No more oogonia are formed and added after birth. These cells start division and enter into prophase 1 of the meiotic division and get temporarily arrested at that stage, called primary oocytes. Each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells and is called the primary follicle. Figure 3.7. A number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty. Therefore, at puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicle gets surrounded by more layer of granulosa cells and a new theca and are called secondary follicles. The secondary follicle soon transform into a tertiary follicle, which is characterized by a fluid-filled cavity called antrum. The theca layer is organized into an inner theca interna and an outer theca externa. It is important to draw your attention that it is at this stage that the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. It is an unequal division resulting in the formation of a large haploid secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. Figure 3.8b. The secondary oocyte retained bulk of the nutrient-rich cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. Can you think of any advantage for this? Does the first polar body born out of first meiotic division divide further or degenerate? At present, we are not very certain about this. The tertiary follicle further changes into the mature follicle or Graafian follicle. Figure 3.7. The secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it. The Graafian follicle now ruptured to release the secondary oocyte ovum from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Can you identify major differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis? A diagrammatic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis is given below. Figure 3.8. 3.4 Menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle of female primates, example monkey, apes, and human beings, is called menstrual cycle. The first menstruation begins at puberty and is called menarche. In human females, menstruation is repeated at an average interval of about 28 or 29 days, and the cycle of events starting from one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. One ovum is released, ovulation, during the middle of each menstrual cycle. The major event of menstrual cycle are shown in figure 3.9. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase, when menstrual flow occur and it lasts for 3 to 5 days. The menstrual flow result due to breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels which form liquid that comes out through vagina. Menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized. Lack of menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. However, it may also be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. The menstrual phase is followed by the follicular phase. During this phase, the primary follicle in the ovary grow to become a fully mature Graafian follicle, and simultaneously the endometrium of uterus regenerate through proliferation. These changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by changes in the level of pituitary and ovarian hormones. Figure 3.9. The secretion of gonadotrophins LH and FSH increases gradually during the follicular phase and stimulate follicular development as well as secretion of estrogen by the growing follicles. Both LH and FSH attain a peak level in the middle of cycle about 14th day. Rapid secretion of LH leading to its maximum level during the mid-cycle called LH surge induces rupture of Graafian follicle and thereby the release of ovum ovulation. The ovulatory phase is followed by the luteal phase during which the remaining parts of the Graafian follicle transform as the corpus luteum. Figure 3.9. The corpus luteum secrete large amount of progesterone which is essential for maintenance of the endometrium. Such an endometrium is necessary for implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. During pregnancy, all events of menstrual cycle stop and there is no menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. This causes disintegration of the endometrium leading to menstruation, marking a new cycle. In human being, menstrual cycle ceases around 50 years of age. This is termed as menopause. Cyclic menstruation is an indicator of normal reproductive phase and extend between menarche and menopause. Menstrual hygiene. Maintenance of hygiene and sanitation during menstruation is very important. Take bath and clean yourself regularly. Use sanitary napkins or clean homemade pads. Change sanitary napkins or homemade pads after every 4 to 5 hours as per the requirement. Dispose of the used sanitary napkins properly, wrapping it with a used paper. Do not throw the used napkin in the drain pipe of toilets or in open area. After handling the napkin, wash hands with soap. 3.5 Fertilization and implantation. During copulation coitus, semen is released by the penis into the vagina in semination. The motile sperm swim rapidly, pass through the cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach the ampullary region of the fallopian tube. Figure 3.11b. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary region where fertilization takes place. Fertilization can only occur if the ovum and sperms are transported simultaneously to the ampullary region. This is the reason why not all the copulations lead to fertilization and pregnancy. The process of fusion of a sperm with an ovum is called fertilization. During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucida layer of the ovum, figure 3.10, and indicates changes in the membrane that blocks the entry of additional sperms. Thus, it ensures that only one sperm can fertilize an ovum. The secretion of the acrosome helps the sperm enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. This induces the completion of the meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. The second meiotic division is also unequal and result in the formation of a second polar body and an haploid ovum ooted. Soon the haploid nucleus of the sperm and that of the ovum fuse together to form a diploid zygote. How many chromosomes will be there in the zygote? One has to remember that the sex of the baby has been decided at this stage itself. Let us see how. As you know, the chromosome pattern in human female is XX and that in male is XY. Therefore, all the haploid gametes ova produced by the female have the sex chromosome X, whereas in the male gamete sperm the sex chromosome would be either X or Y. Hence, 50% of sperms carrying the X chromosome while the other 50% carry the Y. After fusion of the male and female gametes, the zygote would carry either XX or XY depending on whether the sperm carrying X or Y fertilize the ovum. The zygote carrying XX would develop into female baby and XY would form a male. You will learn more about the chromosomal pattern in chapter 5. That is why scientifically it is correct to say that the sex of a baby is determined by the father and not by the mother. The meiotic division starts as the zygote moves through the isthmus of the oviduct called cleavage towards the uterus, figure 3.11, and forms 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells called blastomeres. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere is called a morula, figure 3.11e. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst, figure 3.11g, as it moves further into the uterus. The blastomere in the blastocyst are arranged into an outer layer called trophoblast and an inner group of cells attached to trophoblast called the inner cell mass. The trophoblast layer then gets attached to the endometrium and the inner cell mass gets differentiated as the embryo. After attachment, the uterine cell divides rapidly and covers the blastocyst. As a result, the blastocyst becomes embedded into the endometrium of the uterus. Figure 3.11h. This is called implantation and it leads to pregnancy. 3.6 Pregnancy and embryonic development. After implantation, finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast called chorionic villi, which are surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly form a structural and functional unit between developing embryo fetus and the maternal body called placenta. Figure 3.12. The placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrient to the embryo and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste material produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo through an umbilical cord which help in the transport of substances to and from the embryo. Placenta also act as an endocrine tissue and produces several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin (HCG), human placental lactogen HPL, estrogen, progesterone, etc. In the later phase of pregnancy, a hormone called relaxin is also secreted by the ovary. Let us remember that HCG, HPL, and relaxin are produced in women only during pregnancy. In addition, during pregnancy, the level of other hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. are increased several folds in the maternal blood. Increased production of these hormones is essential for supporting the fetal growth, metabolic changes in the mother, and maintenance of pregnancy. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass embryo differentiates into an outer layer called ectoderm and an inner layer called endoderm. A mesoderm soon appears between the ectoderm and the endoderm. These three layers give rise to all tissues organs in adults. It needs to be mentioned here that the inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells, which have the potency to give rise to all the tissues and organs. What are the major features of embryonic development at various months of pregnancy? The human pregnancy lasts 9 months. Do you know for how many months pregnancy lasts in dogs, elephants, cats? Find out. In human beings, after 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. The first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. By the end of second month of pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. By the end of 12 weeks, first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. For example, the limbs and external genital organs are well developed. The first movement of the fetus and appearance of hair on head are usually observed during the 5th month. By the end of about 24 weeks, end of second trimester, the body is covered with fine hair. Eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. By the end of 9 months of pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and is ready for delivery. 3.7 Parturition and lactation. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, which is called the gestation period. Vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of pregnancy causes expulsion or delivery of the fetus. This process of delivery of the fetus, childbirth, is called parturition. Parturition is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. The signals for parturition originate from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induce mild uterine contractions called fetal ejection reflex. This triggers release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. Oxytocin acts on the uterine muscle and cause stronger uterine contractions, which in turn stimulate further secretion of oxytocin. The stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion continues, resulting in stronger and stronger contractions. This leads to expulsion of the baby out of the uterus through the birth canal. Parturition. Soon after the infant is delivered, the placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. What do you think the doctor inject to induce delivery? The mammary glands of the female undergo differentiation during pregnancy and start producing milk towards the end of pregnancy by the process called lactation. This helps the mother in feeding the newborn. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called colostrum, which contain several antibodies absolutely essential to develop resistance for the newborn babies. Breastfeeding during the initial period of infant growth is recommended by doctors for bringing up a healthy baby.